idea behind the 240, 250, 270 boundary change. I agree with about everything everybody had to say based on the premises that they were thinking about. The idea actually is to match the boundaries to the movements and the herd units of those animals who actually use those areas. And that was some of the outcome that Safari Club helped pay for and Elk Working Group worked on years ago and so forth, was to understand in part the herd units and those migration patterns of those critters. It turns out that the elk that are in the greatest peril, if you will, are in the main West Fork, within the boundary that is proposed. I mean, that's why we're here, is to truth test that with you folks and what other collateral damage there might be there. But the fact is, those elk that have the lowest calf-cow ratios and the lowest survival are described within the proposed hunting district 250. If the elk that are growing on the Warm Springs and so forth are included in 270 and 240, that provides additional hunter opportunity that wouldn't be available if we leave the boundary the way it is, because we wouldn't be able to increase permits because we have those vulnerable elk in there. So that was the thinking for that. Thank you.
In politics, they call it a gerrymander when you move areas around to benefit what you're trying to accomplish. So I call it a gerrymander. Additionally, if you're trying to control elk in a certain area, do like to do all over the state. They give tags, they give B licenses, they give all that. You move the lines, and that's it, folks. You can't come back, but you can give special tags and access those elk the way they do all over the state.
You know, I have private land up Highway 12, and I don't have a deer problem, I have a wolf problem. But, and I see that also between Florence and Lolo, where they have to put out a warning sign now that says that there's wildlife on the highway. I've seen a lot of elk killed there because they're pushed out of the mountains by the wolves, of course. And you know, we're missing the big picture. I've heard a lot of people already say it, that it's a predator problem.
One thing that I think we need to consider, particularly on these boundary changes in the South Valley, is the Bitterroot Valley is blessed with some of the best elk data and statistics in the state. And this data is decades old from aerial surveys, where elk have grown, where elk have had problems, and so on. You start messing with boundaries, and you start changing a measurable metric that we currently have that we can follow within this valley, and then people who come in from different administrations or different ideas or philosophies can skew these numbers however they want. You've got to be really careful with changing what is a measurable metric of elk habitat, elk survival, elk recruitment over decades. So you have to be really careful with that. I know there's some concerns with law enforcement, how 270 and 250 maybe can overlap. You know, poachers are poachers. We've got to take care of the bad apples, as we always have. But I don't know that that justifies changing decades-old data. That's what I have to say about the changing the boundary line.
I don't think changing the boundary is going to help us. Poachers are going to poach. We just need to be more active with 1-800-TIP-MONT. And we tried to do stuff a couple years ago with limited tags. And now we're proposing all sorts of other changes, and we haven't seen how that affects us. So I think we need to be a little bit more patient and not try a bunch of new things, but make sure what we have going is going to work.